Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem amma ba'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to make an ummah. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tried very hard to bring about this ummah. And for that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made an effort on every individual that he must look after his responsibility and carry out his responsibilities. When every individual understands his responsibilities and carries out his responsibilities, automatically you will find the ummah being binded up together. That's why Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam at one place says that if you take away a thing that harms somebody from the road, even a thorn from the road also will be rewarded for that. Otherwise, a Muslim should be a Muslim that don't harm anybody. Must be of benefit to somebody. That is how a Muslim should live. So here Imam Nawawi Rahmatullah brought this few ayats here, brought some hadiths concerning how to explain how should we conduct ourselves and how should we benefit somebody else, how should we save other people from our harms. Here he says, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the mu'mineen and the mu'minat that don't harm the mu'mineen and mu'minat. وَغَيْرَ مَقْتَسَبُوا. And if they are the Muslim male and the female man who are not worthy of any harm, don't harm them. فَقَدْ تَحْمَلُوا بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. If you do something like that and you're going to harm them, and that is going to be an allegation, or it's going to be a great gunah also. If you harm somebody verbally and you accuse somebody verbally, then that is called allegation, buhtan is called. And if you harm somebody physically and harm somebody in other form harm somebody, then that according to the Quran it says that you are buhtan azim. And that's the open gunah, sin that is known. So a Muslim shouldn't harm anybody verbally or physically, or in any way. So that Muslim is a good Muslim, in other words. So here, we have come to understand that it is our responsibility to see that we don't harm anybody, any Muslim, whether it's verbally or whether it's physically. And if we do that, then either will be putting allegations of somebody, backbiting of somebody, or you will commit a great gunah and sin. So in other words, to harm somebody without any reason is a gunah according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we shouldn't have our feelings within ourselves that we harm somebody. Our nature mustn't be there to harm somebody. Our nature must be there to always to help somebody, to support somebody. For example, you'll find sometimes somebody is driving a car and you're going for some lecture, for example, some programs going there, and you park the car in the wrong place. So what's happening now? The next person is being harmed because of his negligence. No? If you want to go out, you can't go out to the driveway because the next person is parked across the road. Or if somebody wants to go anywhere, the person is blocked the road now. People can't pass on the road now. The road is gone narrow now. So these things also are a part of this topic here. They don't harm anybody in any way. Sometimes somebody going in the car and the person comes from the opposite side from the car and you stop the car and start talking to him something little bit. Some important matter you want to talk to him now. You open your window, he opens his window and you start talking to one another. And what happens over there? The whole traffic jam is back now. For you to begin a way of passage. So those things are not acceptable. We are conscious all the time that our doings must not harm somebody else, must not hurt somebody else. This normally you find in our lives, you find people are very negligent of this. They haven't got the feeling that must give somebody comfort. And in fact, they harm somebody, and don't feel hurt, they harm somebody also. This is violating somebody's rights in other according to Sharia. Similarly, you'll find sometimes some places somebody has got a function or something, and then the music is so loud. The first place music is haram, and then he's doing another haram thing by harming the people around you with loud music again. Sometimes a person has got some program and had a program, the loudspeaker is so loud, the people around the house, around the masjid, around the area, all get disturbed because of the sound of the high volume. If somebody is sick, for example, they want rest. Somebody is old and they want rest, and now because of the loud volume, the people can't get sleep properly. So now you are harming that person, disturbing his peace, in other words. So these things are which could take over and stop this thing will take. In the same manner, Fuqaha ulama also mentioned that once a person goes to the masjid and the masjid is empty, for example, and read namaz in the last of his namaz, or purposely read namaz in such a place where the door is, for example. Or the other people, when they come to the masjid now, how they will go out of the masjid? How do you come in the masjid now? Because he's reading namaz there. So now they could take a turn around there, maybe put a sutra in front of something, and then go out to the masjid. So thus you are harming somebody unnecessarily, in other words. So we must be very, very cautious that whatever action we do, we don't harm anybody in any way. That's what you got to keep in mind always. If we do this, then we are a good Muslim, in other words. We know our responsibilities. Sometimes a person uses something, and when he uses something, then wasn't using it in such a manner that the next person is not fit to use for the next person. No. When you use a thing responsibly, you must use thing. Then it must be fit for the next person to use also. For example, somebody loaned you a car to go somewhere, and after you did all your work finish, you brought the car back to him in the evening and thanked him for borrowing the car. But at the same time, when he gave the car, the petrol was full in the tank. When he came back now, you gave him an empty tank. You gave him now. At night, if this person got some emergency and go somewhere, what will happen to him now? He'll feel very worried and hurt. I loaned him the car with a full tank of petrol, and he brought the car empty petrol now. Where am I going for petrol at night now? So this is all, you're harming, using something, but you're harming somebody at the same time. Don't do such a thing that will harm somebody. So we could keep this in mind, that whatever we do, we must be conscious and cautious how is our conduct. So here Imam Nawawi Rahmatullahi explains here that as a Mu'min, our responsibility is that we don't harm any Muslim male or female. In fact, any human being, we shouldn't harm any human being also in any way. And now here for any ordinary person to harm somebody, we must caution for that. What are the people who are Sulha, the pious people, the ulama, who are learned of the people of community? What about them? The degree becomes more stronger, you know. You cannot harm an alim, cannot harm a pious person. It is more severe than that now. In the Quran we find this mentioned, فَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that where the orphan is, don't try and suppress the orphan. Don't try and harm the orphan. The orphan's rights is something. Don't usurp his rights. Otherwise, somebody who is very strong and the person who is weak, the weak person knows that I can't do anything because this person is very strong to overpower me. And the person who is strong, he also knows that this person can't do anything if I overpower him. If I violate his rights also, he can't do anything because he's weaker than me. So that also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped us from doing that. And don't think that now you're overpowering an orphan, usurping his rights, whatever he's got to him, and you are successful in that. It's not that. A time will come on the Qiyamah, Allah will take account for this. You have to pay for that. How did you usurp the right of a person who's more weak than you? So it's important to understand that this is a deen of Sharia is such that we have to be conscious and cautious at all times to understand our responsibilities, our rights, and the next person's rights also at the same time. We must fulfill the next person's rights also at the same time. Once a person understands this, then he'll find a good society coming into existence. That society, when they understand your responsibilities, that society, you won't find any corruption in the society. You won't find any harm, fighting or quarrel, or disputes in that society you won't find. So that's what the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam draw attention towards that. At the same time, find some people, they will start supporting some people, and they think that now because we're supporting them, nobody will harm us. It's not that. When you won't support somebody on a wrong and oppressing somebody, and the next person is deprived of his rights, at that time Allah Ta'ala is supporting the person whose rights were violated, who are suppressing now. So a weak person, if you think that you are just suppressing his rights or violating his rights, whatever, he can't do anything, he can't speak anything, he can't take revenge anything, but it's not that. Allah Ta'ala helps for the person on whom you have violated his rights, whom you have oppressed. Allah Ta'ala helps for that person whom you have oppressed. If he could make dua to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then you won't be successful at all. There's destruction for you. And if that person is a pious person, that person is an alim, he's even more worse it is then also. And you find many examples you find in society where people disturb such honorable people of the community, and then they never become successful at all. Because Allah Ta'ala's wrath come down on those people. Because when you're going to harm a person who is a friend of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then Allah Ta'ala says, you are declaring war with me now. And declaring war with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, how can you be saved then? You can't be saved. So it's important to understand this, that we must try and be fair in our dealings. Don't take parts in our dealings. Otherwise you'll find imbalance in society, and as a result you find there's reducing out on the day of Qiyamah also. Same time Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. That when a beggar comes to you for begging also, then don't rebuke him. Don't humiliate him. But whatever is in your capacity, help him. If you need a little bit, help whatever you can in your capacity. So try and see that when a person comes for help, then support him whatever you can manage, little bit, whatever it is. Don't rebuke him in any way. We find it comes in the Kitab also, that when a person comes to beg to you, for example, a person comes, decide haqqun wa in ja'al faras. The person comes to you begging on a horse, for example, on conveyance. Don't have a bad notion about him. That now he's got a horse also, he's a wealthy person, he's begging for me. No, he came to you because he's in need of something. For example, a person comes on a motorbike, on a car, comes and asks you for some help. It doesn't justify you to say that no, he's a very wealthy person, he doesn't need any help. But you know that person, a robbery took place, he's got nothing money. But you know he's got no money, and people are hungry at home, and he wants help. So if somebody can come, whatever form they come, then don't rebuke them at all. But whatever means you got, try and help out in what's given to you. And the same you'll find many people, they talk bad and they rebuke the person. That's not called good character. Good character is you help the person, otherwise make an excuse. And when a person comes begging for a person and you can talk bad and rebuke him and humiliate him, you just utilize his tongue to humiliate him and to rebuke him also. The same tongue can use to give comfort also can give him. So rather you utilize the habit of the tongue Allah has given to you to give comfort to the person than to rebuke him and to make him feel small and put him to shame. That is, utilize the tongue to give him comfort and give him good advice, in other words, being comfortable. You got something, give him. You haven't got something, and says, no, whenever I got, I'll give it to you. Or whatever it is, little you got, help whatever little you got. And if you want to, and don't give him anything also, then don't talk bad words to hurt his feelings, but use such an excuse by which he doesn't feel hurt at all. Now, here, one hadith is mentioned. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was from Sahaba radiallahu who took part in Bayt Ridwan. He says that one time after the Sulh Hudaybiyah, Abu Sufyan from Makkah Mukarramah came to Medina Munawwara. At that time he wasn't a Muslim, never accepted Islam at that time already. He came to Medina Munawwara, and when he came to Medina Munawwara, in the company of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sahabas were poor also, were homeless also. So should stay in the masjid in the company of Nabi Kareem all the time. From them was Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Suhaib Rumi radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Bilal Habshi radiallahu anhu. These were the fuqara, and other fuqara also were in the masjid. So friend, from the fuqara, these three were especially mentioned here because Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu came Persia he came. Hazrat Suhaib Rumi came from Rome. And Hazrat Bilal Prophet came from Ethiopia he came. And when Abu Sufyan went past them in front of them in the masjid, then they spoke out, they said that looks like Allah Ta'ala's sword haven't completed the work on enemies of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. In other words, the enemy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he opposed Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's supposed to be killed. How is still alive, in other words? In other words, that feeling of Iman was in them, that the enemy of Allah and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how can he be alive? That thought came, and they spoke in that manner. As Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu overheard this discussion of this, so he felt but hurt and told him, you shouldn't speak in that manner. Abu Sufyan is the leader of his community. He is well known in his tribe also. So you shouldn't speak such words. Otherwise, he tried to caution them that doesn't speak such words. When this happened, after that he came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and told Nabi this was transpired. Abu Sufyan came there. The Sahaba spoke like this, the Fuqara spoke like this. This answer I gave them. So as Abu Bakr thought that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will caution them also that we mustn't speak in this manner here. What Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did, he cautions Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, it looks like you have hurt their feelings, in other words. And if you hurt their feelings, then Allah will take revenge afterwards. And these are the Sahaba who were, others were pious, Sulah and Fuqara they were. Concerning them, and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying this. So imagine what happened here now. Immediately Abu Bakr went to the Fuqara Sahaba and told them, please forgive me for what I have said. I have hurt your feelings. On the other hand, those Sahaba, what they said? They oath in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, we haven't hurt our feelings at all. We're happy with you. And if you think we haven't forgiven you or feel bad, we can dua for you that Allah will forgive you also. In other words, they made it known to Abu Bakr that no, we are not displeased with you. And to show the proof that to show that proof, what they said make dua for Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu now became rest assured that these people are not hurt from their feeling, whatever I've said, they are happy with him, in other words. So if we learn from here also, if somebody got to harm us and hurt us in any way, and they ask for forgiveness, then we should forgive them also. And make them feel assured, assure them that we have forgiven them, give them dua also at the same time. They can feel comfortable to know we have forgiven them. So this was an incident that took place between Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and the Fuqara Sahaba there. Otherwise, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was from the senior Sahaba, and the Fuqara was from the junior Sahaba there was. And this was transpired there at that time. So in such a situation, when a senior Sahaba says something to a junior Sahaba, they don't feel hurt at all. It's a thing which shows common sense. If the person is lower than you, can caution that person, you can help that person to rectify his fault, whatever it is. But here also you find that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cautions Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu and tells him that these are the Sulaha, the pious people in the masjid. And if this is the condition of the pious people, what about the people who are poor people, the people who are weak, what about them then? So we could keep this in mind, that whatever we do, we don't harm anybody, we don't hurt anybody, whether verbally or physically. Both ways, we don't harm anybody. That a person has got some position in the world, for example. So because of his position, it doesn't justify him to harm anybody who's below him. So it's important to understand that we don't harm anybody who are under us. So somebody has got a business, for example, some organization somebody has got, whatever it can be. So anybody who's under you doesn't mean you can abuse them just because you got position. This incident here we can understand very well. As Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu just spoke a few words of cautioning them not to be so harsh On that, Nabi Karim Sallallahu also said, although you told them a good thing, but at the same time, you must see you haven't hurt their feelings also or not. So, when Hazrat Abu Bakr went to the Sahaba and asked for forgiveness, immediately they forgave Hazrat Abu Bakr and at the same time, they gave dua also to Hazrat Abu Bakr also, to make up for the loss which took place. And the Mufti explains, he said, our condition is completely different. If somebody could caution us on our faults, we try and look for proofs to cover up our faults. Somebody could tell us some hadith also, or ayat of the Quran also, we would pay no heed to that at all. We try to cover up our faults, although in our hearts we know we are wrong also, but we try to cover up for that our ego is more than anything else. And here we learn from the hadith here, from here we learn, when Nabi Karim some caution as Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, immediately he went to make things right immediately. When he asked for forgiveness immediately, And the Sahaba Ram there, but what? They forgave him also and made dua for him also to make sure that they have forgiven you also. So we learn lesson from here. Whenever we fault somewhere, or if somebody got to caution us, explain to us our faults, and they put the Quran right in front of us, or they put the hadith in front of us, our reaction was what? Immediately we accept Amanna wa Saddaqna. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whatever Nabi Karim said is completely true, I would accept that and retract from whatever you're doing. Then our Iman is of a higher degree, in other words. There you find, whereas Abu Bakr was of superior than other Sahaba. Now you find another incident we'll find here. One day Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, while talking to Umar radiallahu anhu, he spoke something in little harsh words, he explained something. But the result, Umar radiallahu got angry, got upset, and he went away from there. So Abu Bakr radiallahu understood and thought that, look, I have been very harsh, and I shouldn't speak in this manner. Let me ask for forgiveness. So he went and asked for forgiveness, but he never replied anything. So he started following him, and he was started walking more fast in front. He wasn't prepared to forgive him. Then he came to his home, and he went in the house and knocked the door. Abu Bakr was standing outside, what must he do now? So he thought to himself that now, what must he do now? He went to the only place now to get solace was by Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he came to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, sat in the majlis of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, waiting for a chance now how to solve his problem now. At the same time, Umar radiallahu anhu, after his anger cooled down, he realized that I wasn't supposed to do something like that. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's position, we all know in the Ummah. So I shouldn't behave like that, I should have forgiven him. So he went out looking for Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and came to and he knew that definitely Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was in the company of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he came to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's company and saw Abu Bakr was sitting there. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was completely silent, quiet. He was thinking of how to solve this problem. Umar radiallahu anhu on his own told Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this was transpired, and I never forgive him also. So when this thing happened, then Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got very angry. His face turned red, and he was not prepared to listen to it. And he said that whoever harms Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu harms me, in other words. So once Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke these words, after nobody had the guts ever to talk against Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. In the meantime, what is mentioned in the hadith will find that when a person asks you for forgiveness, the person got hurt, for example, and he realizes his fault and asks for forgiveness, then what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to forgive that person. That's our responsibility to do that. If we don't do that, then I'll be at fault. So our Shariat has also explained to us that when a person asks for forgiveness, you got to forgive that person. That is how Ummah is being built up. Now we'll find in our homes also we'll find small some arguments takes place also. If someone asks for forgiveness, doesn't mean you must start to have that ego when you say, I can't forgive you, I'll never forget this. No, just forgive the person, settle everything down. So we thought in the hadith now that whenever someone asks for forgiveness, after understanding is wrong, then you just forgive that person. And our attitude towards this what? Opposite to that. We start saying 10 words against whatever it is, and we don't try to forgive him also. We say, no, I can't forgive you. Whereas our Nabi Sallam taught us, must forgive the person immediately. You'll be rewarded for that. So here you can see by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to forgive somebody has got such a high status by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if you want to forgive it, how you want to achieve the high status? So if you want your gunas to be forgiven, then you could learn to forgive somebody else also at the same time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when the person comes and asks forgiveness to me, I get very happy when the person asks forgiveness to me. So when Allah Ta'ala is happy for you asking forgiveness, you can't harm somebody more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by making some against the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you want to ask forgiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can see that when you harm your colleague or somebody, you won't harm them to that degree of going against the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you ask for forgiveness to me, I am very pleased when you ask for forgiveness to me, and Allah Ta'ala forgives us immediately. In Hadith is mentioned one incident that one person was going out in safar, and he had his camel with him, and all his provisions on the camel, was very tired, so he rested for a little while. When he rested, when eyes opened up, he saw the camel was missing. Eyes got no food, got no water, all sorts of comfort, everything is missing from him. What must he do? He tried to look around, run everywhere. He just couldn't find a camel of his. At the end, he thought, now, in this jungle, where am I going to find in this desert, where am I going to find a camel now? So he thought, now we just die. And he lied down, said, we just sleep and die. So after that while, he slept a little while. Then all of a sudden, because he was uneasiness, he just woke up. And he woke up, he saw a camel in front of him. But he got so happy by seeing the camel in front of him, he spoke, in happiness, he spoke such words which are against reality. He said, I am your Allah and you are my servants. In happiness he spoke like that, not realizing what he's doing, because he found his camel straight with all his provisions, understand? So imagine this person spoke in such a manner, but Allah Ta'ala got happy with him. He said, this person there, in spite of, because of his happiness, he spoke out of context, he spoke, because of happiness. You know, speak these words, deliberately. So here, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam explained to us that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala get even more happier than this also. And this person get happy with finding his provisions and his camel, how happy he got. Allah Ta'ala gets more happy than that when you return to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for forgiveness. So imagine how important is it that to have this quality in you to forgive somebody for any wrong they do. Imagine that is now a condition between a person and your connection with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, where Allah Ta'ala gave you all the ni'mas, all the blessings Allah Ta'ala has given to you, everything Allah has given to you. And in spite of that now, you disobeyed Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, you heard the things of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, against the law of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and there Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is so happy for you to ask for forgiveness, and Allah announces, ask for forgiveness, I'll forgive you. I mean, how important it is not to forgive somebody. And we find another instance of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu also. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he had one of his auntie's son who was very poor. He should support his son, Hazrat Mistah bin Asafa radiallahu ta'ala anhu. At the time Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when that incident took place, where they put an allegation on Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, that when the munafiqeen was speaking different things and putting out different allegations against her, and very eloquently they were speaking and saying things. What the result? Mistah also, he got engulfed in that talk, whatever it is, and started siding with them, not realizing what he was doing. When this happened, Hazrat Abu Bakr got heard about it. I'm supporting him all the time, and he's doing something against my own daughter, against Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So then he took an oath that now I'm not going to support him anymore after this now. But when he took an oath, when this happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Wahid Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَلَا يَسْأَلُ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ أَيُّؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. So Allah ta'ala sent us that now, that Allah said, if anybody, Allah ta'ala gives somebody some means, some ni'mat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to somebody, and they're good position they are, then don't keep back your wealth by looking after the poor people also, and looking after your relatives also, and look after the people who made hijrah also. Otherwise, this person, this Sahabi, he made hijrah from Makkah to Medina Munawwara because of this Abu Bakr was supporting him. But just because of the incident, he made a custom that he's not going to support him anymore. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately cautioned, no, you can't do something like that. That's a different thing, that's a different thing. And he got embroiled in the atmosphere that's happening around there. Not purposely did anything. So this shows that when traditional errors arrive somewhere in society or in families, then we be very cautious we could be. That we don't take away our goodness and the reward we get for our goodness just for a small little incident. These things we find not only families, we find society, you find this type of thing, and good to somebody, then sometimes get hurt from that person. That doesn't mean we break our relationship with that person. Our doing good for that person, we are getting our reward for it. He's doing something wrong, he's finding his after because of that. So we should not contaminate the two together. Just as we've been taught here from this ayah that came to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Furthermore, Allah Ta'ala says that, "La tuhibbuna an yaghfira Allah lakum." Do you wish Allah Ta'ala must forgive you? So you must forgive him. Otherwise, Allah Ta'ala likes people to forgive somebody, then Allah Ta'ala will love you also. So if you have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you must learn to forgive somebody else. When you want to forgive somebody, automatically Allah Ta'ala is going to forgive you also at the same time. So here we understand from here, if a person did something wrong, and the person comes to realize, I did something wrong, now we ask for forgiveness, then our responsibility is to forgive that person, because he's got regretting, he's got remorse within himself, I did something wrong. So in this situation, our responsibility is to forgive that person. Now to bring about a good society, bring about a good ummah, these are the teachings that the Nabi Karim taught us to. We could follow on those guidelines, inshallah we'll find success in this world also, we'll find unity in this world also, we'll find unity. But if you're not going to have this, then we'll find fragments to it. And as a result, when we lose our unity, then we won't remain as the ummah at all. It is important that to understand the small norm of the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the teaching of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His ayat of Allah subhanahu was sent down to bring the mitzvah of ummah, not to hurt somebody's feelings. Don't have bad thoughts of somebody. Don't harm anyone in any way. Rather, give dua to somebody and forgive somebody. This is how a Muslim's life should be. That's why when our children are small, we should nurture them in this manner. That if they make any mistake, ask for forgiveness. They speak lies, reprimand them. Don't have to speak. Can't speak a lie. If they disrespect somebody, reprimand. You can't disrespect somebody. So all these things we're going to ask, teach our children from small. When they grow big, they'll know their responsibility. When they make a mistake, they will ask for forgiveness. So here we find we are reprimanded or restricted to give harm to the pious people. And why is this? Because the pious people are the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to harm somebody who's friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are spoiling our akhirat because of that. So it's important that we understand this point, that not to harm where any ordinary person is mentioned here. But compared to ordinary person, a person who is a pious person who is an alim al-deen, how can harm them or talk bad of them or hurt their feelings? How can you do such a thing? It is more worse that. You find many examples in the history, you'll find, books you'll find, there are people who spoke bad of the ulama, spoke bad of the sulaha, the pious people. They were never successful in life, they were never successful in their life. In our Kabirin you'll find Hazrat Hussain Sahab rahmatullah alayhi. What a great pious person he was, a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he was. And how he reached the stage? Because of people troubled him, people put allegations on him, he never retaliated. He never took revenge at all. That's why Allah gave him that position. You find, it comes in the Kitabs, there was one person who was traveling in the train, and he never knew what Muhammad Rahmatullah Alayhi was. But in the meantime, you find, the train, while traveling the train, there's one person who was like a gentleman person. He went to the toilet and came out very quickly. So Molana sensed something not look right. Why did he come back so quickly? So after a little while, Molana got up, he took his lota and went to the toilet. And he saw the toilet was completely messed up, it was dirty. So he took few the cigarette boxes you get there, mattress boxes you get there. He took all that and he cleaned the toilet properly and made wuzu, and he came back. And he came back, now he addressed that gentleman and said, why don't go to the toilet? He said, no, sometimes excuses. I said, no, I just came there, I made wuzu and came to the toilet. Words of using, can use it, no problem. So now he went back to the toilet, that person, he went there. He went to the toilet and the toilet was clean. When he came back, he was so much astonished. So he came and told us, Madina Rahmatullahi, my inner feeling is telling me that only you clean the toilet, nobody else. So when he heard this, that person was sitting on the opposite seat of Madina Rahmatullahi. He asked the people, who is this person here? Sitting in Qadr clothes wearing. So this is Madina Rahmatullahi. Immediately he had effect on his heart. He went to the Madina Rahmatullahi, caught his feet and started crying. Please forgive me, please forgive me. He said, what happened? He said, I was in fatwa of kufr against you. If I didn't see this treatment of yours concerning an ordinary person, not a non-Muslim also, I should never come to my senses. And if you're not going to forgive me, my whole akhirah will be spoiled in others. To show that they knew the value of what the wrong they were doing. And the Madina forgave him also. And what Hazrat said, there's nothing to worry about. I did nothing great, he said. I only followed one sunnah of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And what is sunnah of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? One Jew came to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he spent the night because he wasn't feeling well. He had diarrhea, so he messed his bed. Because of shame, early in the morning he ran away. When they ran away, after Nabi Karim woke up in the morning, saw the visitor was gone, but the bed was messed up. So Nabi Karim himself cleaned the whole mess. And after that Jew came, he forgot his sword at home, in the house there. He couldn't find his sword. When he came to find his sword, he saw Nabi Karim with his own hand cleaning the mess he left behind. He was so ashamed of himself that I made a mess, this is what happened here. So this alone had an impact on the Jew that he accepted Islam immediately. So this was Sunnah and had the impact on this person, had changed his life also. The same way you'll find many other examples from Hazrat Madani Rahmatullahi. In one place there were two boys and who were completely against Hazrat Madani Rahmatullahi and his movement. They tried to humiliate him on a station. They took his topi and they put it onto the platform and started putting it on the feet. And he started urinating on it after that. And even some places said that even they threw a splash on Molana himself also. Molana kept quiet, never speak a word. So when Raipur Rahmatullahi heard it, he said that it looks like now that person now will get saved. Allah's anger will come into action now. Allah's wrath will come onto that person. So much so that one alim said, now this person will never get saved. I was just wanting to see what will happen to this person now. So at the end, when there were riots, that this person was caught up in the riots and he got burnt in the riots and they couldn't find his body anywhere also after it. So that's why it's very important that you don't talk bad of ulama, don't hurt their feelings, you don't know what is their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, you saw them doing something wrong also, don't talk bad of them. Because you don't know, they got taluk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a manner, at night they can make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just some fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will forgive them, what would you know? You would keep on talking bad of them, what about that? So our Nabi Sallallahu taught us such things to bring about a healthy and good society, to respect one another and to get rid of all these evils of society. So yeah, because this topic has been mentioned here in this kitab here, that we should try and value one another. As a human being, everybody is a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Could value each person, could value them. We don't know how the contact is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how Allah has contact is with them. We don't know that. It's important that we keep this in mind, that everyone is worthy of respect and you can honor everyone. This hadith here, Nabi Karim Sallallahu explains that a person who is Fajr Namaz with Jamaat, then that person is in the custody of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala looks after that person. Imagine the person who is Fajr Namaz with Jamaat now, and he is in the custody of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting him in other words. So on the day of Qiyamah, because of this security Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this person who read namaz with Jamaat, if you go to do something wrong against him, then what will happen on the day of Qiyamah? You talk bad against him, you're going to hurt him in any way, what will happen? Allah Ta'ala will question you, that this person was in my security, he was under my custody he was. How did you do this to him? How are you going to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now? Is there any way you're going to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now? So we've got to be very careful in this aspect, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down certain laws, rules, regulations, and the person follows the regulations, then that person becomes the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you won't disturb that friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you won't be successful at all. That's why Mustakim says here, keep in mind that any person who reads namaz, or respect the person who reads namaz. Just like comes in hadith, the person who reads namaz and goes to the masjid, but give witness, has got iman in him. So any person who reads namaz, gives words of respect, and don't have an evil thought against him or talk bad about him, because his contact is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you know when Allah ta'ala can change his mind, and the proper tawbah he can make, and still remain the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will be losers after that. So Allah ta'ala gives tawfiq for understanding and practicing, and to keep our iman strong and healthy at all times by following the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the teaching of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's the only way to look after ourselves and keep our souls healthy and sound.